The Flash 764. Kevin Schnick writing with Will Conrad on art. So this is part 2 of a story. I really thought the last one was mostly standalone, but then it said,
Yeah, and the artist change does not help with that feeling because it was Clayton Henry, I think, on the last issue. Because I remember the foreheads.
I'd forgotten what the art was in the last one, to be honest. I was just surprised when I got to the title page and it said whatever the arc was, part 2, and I'm like, wait, what? Part 2?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? This one was way more of a mixed bag. I mean, the last one was a mixed bag, but I had a lot of positive things, even though they kind of kept ruining it in a weird way. This one, I felt more towards the mixed side of things, where I didn't dislike chunks of it. Alchemy breaking out and Barry running off and whatever. Some of the dialogue with Iris is a little bit weird. Like, she's hinting she wants to get married. She's like, oh, I wish I had a ring that I cared so much about that I would never want to take off.
There's a lot of awkward dialogue from both of them. There's a point towards the end, I think it's right at the end, final encounter, where Barry's kind of like going, "Oh no, you've done this thing to me." It's kind of like that old school style of like storytelling that we haven't seen in like 30 years. It felt a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fight with Alchemy in the first half well enough. Barry loses his mask, so he has to kind of vibrate his face, and I like the art in that sense. I like the way they do that, where his face is kind of blurred. Good. I enjoyed that. But then it gets into a lot of weird exposition though, where he's thinking about the Philosopher's Stone that Alchemy has, and it all basically boils down to, he's going to try and steal what would you call it, the responsometer from the exhibit in the museum about the Metal Men. I
felt like there was a really weird link here because we have this quite stylized, because he's like, I'm pretty sure the Philosopher's Stone is actually tied to the Illuminati. I'm like, okay. And then you have this stylized page kind of set within the Illuminati symbol as the layout, which I think is quite nice conceptually. And he's talking about the sorcerer Simon Magus. And then he's like, Will Magnus. Oh, of course, they're so close. That must be a link. Like, wait, what? That feels like a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, they had the whole Philosopher's Stone and the Illuminati stuff. I was kind of just zoning out during that page. I don't know how much of it I really took in. I got to the end and he's like, we have to go to this museum exhibit because he's going to try and steal a responsometer. I was like, okay, sure. Right, that's all I need to know. Right, just go.
Yeah.
Because all the exposition just wasn't doing much for me. But he goes to the museum. Alchemy's there. Barry has to run around to stop all the glass. He kind of comments how Alchemy says that he's not a chemist, but then he uses chemistry to make sure the glass doesn't hurt anyone by melting it. Essentially.
And it's after he does this bit where Alchemy kind of blasts him as well. I have the really awkward dialogue where this isn't narration. This is out loud dialogue. I've kept him from altering my composition. No time for a pat on the back. I need to stick this guy behind bars. I'm like, wait, why is this not narration?
But then the ending of the issue is that Barry realizes that his speed is gone. His connection to the Speed Force has been severed, and Alchemy, flies off with his stone and his responsometer, and that's kind of it. I can't really say I liked this issue much. I thought the art was okay. Like I liked moments in the art. I mentioned the phasing of his face to hide his identity early on. I think generally speaking, the inks are quite good. I liked it more than the art from the last issue for sure. But unfortunately, I think the actual story I liked much less than last issue. And the fact that this is to be continued still, so we've got 2 more of this. This is a 4-part seemingly, because obviously December is going to be Endless Winter. So because of that, I'm kind of like, At the same time though, I'm like, well, I've read every issue of Flash since the start of Rebirth. I might as well just read them. It's only 2 issues.
I didn't. Obviously, I backed out for a bit, but I'm kind of sounds like it's only 2 issues, so I just kind of suffer through them. Because the first one was okay, but this one, a bit of a bad taste in my mouth.
I mean, maybe back to being better stuff. Admittedly, I'm not sure how much I like the idea of doing an issue where Barry's like trying to get his speed back, given that we seem to do that like every 30, 40 issues of the Flash, we'll get a story about him.
Yeah, it's every 2 or 3 years or so.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just kind of feels generic and like old tropes at this point, but
it does.
It wasn't a terrible read though either. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like garbage or anything. It's just kind of
it's
some weird leaps.
Yeah, I would, definitively say it's not good. I wouldn't say it's terrible, like the worst thing I've ever read, but it's weird dialogue, and not just like that one particular scene. It's like, okay, multiple times weird, awkward, forced dialogue. You've got weird plot leaps that feel contrived and that are just huge coincidences.
I wouldn't even say it's
Um,
bad either. It's just kind of
I think
there.
those things do make it a little bit bad. Not terrible, but bad. I think it's bad writing. I do think that, but I don't.
Well,
But it's not.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying overall, I don't think it falls into bad because there's other good things. Those are slightly bad things, but there's also slightly good things that kind of average it out. Is what I'm saying. So
Sure.
I guess what I'm saying is it's a 5 out of 10. That's ultimately what I'm saying.
Fair enough. I mean, I think I come down a little bit harsher than you and think it's more of a 4 out of 10. And I think it is below average of what I expect for this issue.